Muhammad Ali's daughters, Maryum and Hana. I think really that film is a perfect example of the lasting effect that your dad has on people, you know, when they meet him. And really that's at the heart, isn't it, of this feature-length documentary, I Am Ali. And now, when you were growing up, how aware were you of that lasting effect?
I was 3, 4 years old when I first realized my father was great. I was just, my memory is walking through the airports with him and crowds of people just roaring and hollering and screaming, "I love you," and applauding and feeling it just vibrating in my chest. And I remember looking at him thinking, who is this man?
Right.
And mainly, you know, when you were growing up as girls then and into teenagers, was there any part of you that resented having to share him with the rest of the world, really, albeit that in a lovely way?
You know, for the most part, 95% no. I mean, we loved him. We received so much love from people. And like Hana said, when we were younger, you know, since we've been young to now, we received so many great stories on how he's impacted people in a positive way. And we just see his fame as a blessing, his impact. We've heard, I mean, I could do a book on all the stories on how he changed people's lives. So, you know, we really accepted it and embraced it.
Yes, and being his daughter gets me out of tickets.
But, I mean, there's some extraordinary footage in this documentary. There's lots of interviews with people that were so close to him. And also these tapes. That he would tape conversations that he had with you on the telephone, because he said, didn't he, in later life, you're going to come back and you're going to listen to these and they'll make big impact on you.
He made so many recordings and various, you know, people talking to our grandparents and his parents and my mother, her, you know, her mother, it's amazing what he did. Just us singing together in the morning and going to school. And
and I'll just say, you know, the movie I Am Ali by Claire Lewins, the director, you know, this woman brilliantly did this film showing a comprehensive view of my dad's character, especially as a father. It's the first documentary that shows him as a dad. So a lot of people walk away with tears just because of the family-child dynamic in the movie, and you don't expect that in a film about a boxer. You know?
We saw 60 seconds clip and we knew that she was the one, you know.
It is a phenomenon. And as you say, it shows him as a very hands-on dad. But one of the first things in the documentary that becomes clear from your point of view is that you were understandably frightened of him when he was boxing, you know, frightened him going to box. But you used to go and watch him. So what was that experience like then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the oldest, I'm 46, so I went to some of the fights, and I remember the fights, and in the film, he calls me, you know, there's this worldly figure, and he calls me up, an 11-year-old, says, I'm going to fight again. This is towards the end of his career, and I was like, no, Daddy, you're too old. You know, so it was easy in the beginning, but towards the end, it was hard, because a lot of people wanted him to retire, but he's his own man, and boxers usually retire when they're ready to. So...
The last fight was the hardest. I remember seeing my dad, I was 5 years old, after he lost his last fight, and he was just sort of sitting in the edge of the ring, and he was bending down, and he had his white robe on, and I think it stands out in my memory because of how sad he looked, and he saw Layla and I run up to him, and his face lit up. But I remember that look, you know, he knew it was over.
And it is, I mean, we were talking just a little bit earlier on about that connection that you had, you know, father to daughter, and those wonderful little conversations. And we're going to hear one right now, a very special moment between the pair of you. Here we go.
Everything God made, cows, horses, the moon, stars, ants, everything has a purpose. Now, what's your purpose? You're a human being. If God made the sun have a purpose, humans have a purpose too. You haven't found your life purpose yet, have you?
Yes.
If everybody's born for purpose, what do you think you were born for?
To make people feel better, to fix people up.
That's good. That's good, Maryum.
Wonderful.
She's a social worker.
And that's what you did. I was going to say what you do now.
I work in gang prevention in South Los Angeles in very high gang crime areas. And, you know, my dad found boxing at 12, you know, and he wanted us to find what we wanted. And what I loved about that footage is that he didn't put a career on us. He wanted us to figure that out and tap into what we loved. So...
What comes through to me overall, everything there, is that the boxing is almost secondary, and he was kind of using that as a stage and a platform to be able to connect with the world at once, because he just had this gift, didn't he, to be able to work people out. And I think that's kind of how he beat his, you know, all of his rivals and what have you, because he could work out, he knew their strengths, so then he worked on their weaknesses.
He said that more than once, that boxing was just a platform to introduce him to the world.
Yeah.
You know, there's people all over the world taking stands everywhere, and you don't know when knows their name, but he had a platform and he had a voice because of it.
And people from all over the world, of course, met him. We've got a phenomenal amount of photos that's come in tonight of some of our viewers who've met him over the years.
Look at this little one. Now, this is Emma Graham with Muhammad Ali when she was 2 years old, and Ali visited Coventry to open the chippy for his old sparring partner.
So adorable.
Donna sent this in of her late father-in-law, Jerry, who met your dad, Ali, in Glasgow in 1967.
I love it.
There's Sandra Duff from Ilkley with her husband, met Muhammad Ali at a club opening in Manchester. And my dad actually met him as well. 1977 it was one of those audiences with. And he went there with a question. He said, oh, you know, do you do any other sport? And your dad said, oh, you know, I don't, but I should really concentrate on that. And then he said, but actually, can I ask you a question? So he actually flipped the interview around and he said to me, Dad, what's a Geordie? Because he was there to meet the Geordie, so it all unfolded from there.
Thank you, girls, for coming in. And please pass on our regards to your dad as well.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Now, we are back.